we've lost our little Mexican thrill to our theme for this week, damn. Well, Adam, welcome to episode 103 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Today, we are taking a trip away from the temple and heading to England's capital as Tony Khan and his well-paid action figures make their second visit to Wembley for All In 2024. Now, Adam, you may recall that the previous year saw real glass used, some rivers were requested to be cried, and there was another backstage brawl with your favourite Chicagoan. So this year had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
I'm very, very interested to hear what you thought of it.
Okay.
Give me a Batista style thumbs up, down, or to the middle for where you're going to go, but make it really dramatic.
Okay.
I'll do Triple H like smiling, like
right.
Thumbs
so,
up. He's waving it. He's waving it.
I'm gonna go kind of. It's not down. It's
like southeast.
It's a little bit. Yeah. It's okay. There's some decent stuff here. There's some not so good stuff here. There's some things that just aren't for me. But yeah, what about you?
I watched this live at the time, and I genuinely thought it was amazing.
Okay.
It's so funny to I don't know, there is something, like all sport generally, there's something about watching it live. It's difficult to go and watch a full football game after you know the result or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is why I picked this. I thought there's some really good matches on it. It's obviously quite modern. It maybe gives you a flavour of what things are like.
Okay.
But on second viewing, I started to pick holes. I was actually annoying myself because I was like, but I wanted to like this. There is great stuff. There's great stuff, but there's also some fun stuff to talk about as well.
You know, I discovered something about myself. I wonder if this is going to be part of it. When we were away on holiday, we were going around all these museums. And my wife is really, she like loves looking at the thing that is the picture or whatever's been made or whatever it is. Whereas I kind of glance at it, but what I want to go is read the wee thing that's next to it that tells me the story. I want to go and read, how this came about, tell me a bit about the guy, all that kind of thing. And I thought, is this me? So this is maybe just the indication that I'm more interested in the story than the visual.
I wonder if let's deep dive. Do you think that you've been programmed that way because you grew up watching WWE? Or
maybe. Well,
it sounds like it goes beyond wrestling.
Yeah, when if I hear an album, not so much these days, but if I was listening to an album back in the day, when the music world was flooded with things that would interest me, I'd be like, right, I want to know a bit more about this, and I'd properly look through the lyrics, and it was never just about what it sounded like. It was more of what's behind this.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe. But then when I used to watch wrestling as a kid, I didn't worry about stuff like that. It's maybe just something.
But it was more definitely when we were children. It was more story oriented than it was like, oh my god, check out the moves the Mounties doing.
Yeah, I suppose because even the style of wrestling was not what it is
slower.
Now. So, yeah.
Let's see what you think. So, I've got a wee hot take to start us off, and I guess we'll probably touch on it throughout. But I want to get this off my chest, Adam.
Okay.
I think that stadium shows, as a general rule, suck to watch.
Okay.
Because of the crowd. And because I feel like now don't get me wrong, Bret Hart and Bulldog came out at SummerSlam 92, you knew the crowd was there and you knew the pop. Same when Nigel McGuinness came out and Ricochet, you could hear the pop and that was awesome. Same towards the end of the Bryan it's got to do a JR there, Bryan Danielson match. The crowd were there and the atmosphere was amazing, but when they weren't there, it sounded like we were wrestling in COVID times.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough because even obviously there must be a huge crowd there. It looks like there's a massive crowd there.
50,000 something.
And we see stadium shows for WrestleManias and things like that, and when it is open air, it does seem like the crowd noise can get a bit lost out there.
I have heard Jericho say something about, especially wrestling in like open top stadiums, that everything just goes up. Yeah. And normally you're waiting for the noise of the fans to hit you to know how to react to things, and you don't get it, which is quite interesting.
It must be tough for them. Yeah.
So probably just grab some cricket balls and start throwing them about and maybe hit somebody in the front row. That's okay.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's get into it. What we're going to do is we're going to go exact move by move of every match. Oh. So this is going to be like a 6-hour podcast. Okay. Did you watch the 0 hour?
I didn't. I mean, I think, I'm not trying to pass the buck, but I think I just clicked the link you sent me.
Fair enough. The 0 hour, I didn't watch it. The 0 hour was 2 hours long.
Oh.
Can you imagine being in Wembley for that long length of time?
So how long was it 4?
4.
Oh.
And the matches that they had on the 0 hour was something like an 8-man tag and like a 12 or a 16-man tag or something. Anyway, let's get into it.
Okay.
We've got our commentary team of Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness and Tony Schiavone. Taz comes in and out, and we get JR for the main event just.
Is it just the main event? I was trying, if he was on for 2, it might just be the last one.
I don't think he would have loved Jack Perry versus Darby Allin.
Yeah.
We kick off with everyone in the ring. They did the entrances on the 0 hour so that when the pay-per-view came on, everyone was in the ring. Very stark contrast to modern WWE, which would have taken us a good 15 minutes to have got to the first match after all the entrances for this match. So we've got an AEW Trios title ladder match. We are, of course, familiar with a lot of Trios action recently with the Lucha Underground. We've got the Patriarchy, which is Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus or Kill Switch, whatever he's deciding he's going by.
That was confusing me. They seem to be
his
calling
name's
the same
Luchasaurus,
guy,
but Christian at some point decided to rename him Kill Switch.
Okay.
Like he's a pet.
Okay.
He wouldn't rename a pet, actually, so I don't know what that's all about.
No. Weird.
The House of Black, which is Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black.
Yep.
Blackpool Combat Club Plus Pack. So Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pack, and the Bang Bang Gang, which was Sons of Billy Gunn and Juice Robinson.
Okay.
Did you realise that was Sons of Ass?
Yes, and then I got really confused because I thought, well, Billy Gunn's signed to AEW's. How come he's not there with them, but he's with some other guys?
He's with the Acclaimed, yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going move by move on this. This was insane. And probably like emblematic of exactly what you're just talking about there, about there being no story and all action. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, not every match needs a deep story. Sometimes it can just be about a title, but I think just give me a reason to root for somebody or to root against somebody else. And I felt like they were... See, right at the start of this, I think Christian is immediately playing a coward.
Christian jumps out of the ring and runs away backstage. Brilliant.
Yes, about as cowardly as you could get. And they seem particularly angry about this because they're referring to him as one of the originators of the ladder matches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I quite like this little wrinkle for my boy Christian. But if the purpose of that is make me think, oh, damn you, Christian, you coward, I'm not going to be able to jump on that bandwagon.
No, I was entertained by it. And again, it doesn't help that Nigel's like, his fatherly instincts are kicking in. Wonderful from Christian Cage.
So does Nigel is he a regular announcer for AEW? Yeah.
I think he does their Saturday night show, I think.
Okay. So he's really good through this. And I wasn't sure if, the show is taking place in London. We'll get Nigel McGuinness on the commentary. But yeah, I thought he did a very good job here.
He's brilliant. It's like the MVP of the show between some of the stuff he does in the ring and some of the does he say? He says that line about Bryan wanted to stop. He wanted to be a vegan, but he couldn't stop eating brie.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Ridiculous. What do you think of? I'm going to find it hard to talk through this, so I'm just going to ask you some questions. What do you think of you? I guess you wouldn't have seen Brody King before, the sort of bigger guy in the House of Black. What do you think of him?
I like the look of Brody King. I thought he had something. He's big, but he can move. And yeah, there were a few guys coming out of this that I thought, I wouldn't mind seeing more of these guys. He was definitely one of them in this match. I thought stood out.
I think we've definitely got something for those types with our Bam Bams and our Vaders likings to that. What we'll do is talk about spots.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So Pac does some crazy stuff. I take it you recognise Pac as Neville.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is kind of crazy, like his spinning leaps and stuff like that. I felt like he would have adjusted very well to life in the temple, actually.
That's a great shout.
Suited him, yeah.
Some of the stuff he does, I've no idea how you can possibly do that with your body. These twisty, corkscrewy type things he does.
I had one issue with I'm not sure if it was one of his. It might have been one of his. Obviously, you struggle, and this isn't an AEW dig. I'll get some of those in whenever I think it's appropriate, but it's WWE. It's basically everyone where you're used to seeing multi-person matches. Is you either have too much going on in the ring, or it's spilled to the outside and there's various different pockets of things happening on the outside. And I think quite often in these matches, it never bothers me when we're watching Lucha Underground. It's just because it's a different kind of thing. But I feel like there's always guys like having to stand around waiting to be leapt on.
Yeah, there is. That's what I remember. That's one of JR's big bugbears not that long after they'd started, wasn't it? He said something about that. Yeah. Let's just stop doing that. But you're right, and it's not just AEW, is it? That's all modern wrestling.
Yeah.
We had Christian maybe running back. Guys had all went at each other, and basically the ring was clear, and Christian comes running out. Even the way he's running is quite comedic. He comes running back to the ring as the coast is clear, and he tries to get up the ladder. But I think we get Claudio and Brody King grabbing him. The next time that the ring is clear, Mother Wayne then tries to climb.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Mother Wayne, and I didn't really know what was going on there.
Right, so the young lad that is with Christian in the patriarchy is called Nick Wayne.
Right.
Do you recognise the name Buddy Wayne?
No.
His dad was a wrestler called Buddy Wayne. Okay. That's his mum. And she's taken a liking to Christian. Christian's sort of become his father figure, all the sort of Christian stuff. So that's where that comes from. But the Guns are quite polite in sending her back down off the ladder. I think she got away pretty well for that.
Yeah.
We get a good Dudley Boys type sequence from the Guns, and Juice Robinson to get the tables. It was quite fun.
Yep.
Do you feel like? Well, this is what I feel like. I feel like we get these sequences in modern wrestling where somebody does not just the same move. Somebody does the same move over and over and over and over, and I didn't understand it. Like Luchasaurus does. It just chokeslams everybody for some people just walking in chokeslam, and I didn't find it entertaining at all.
Yeah, it's just a series of back-to-back chokeslams.
It's like spamming something on a video game.
Yeah.
I like this bit where Luchasaurus was basically up the ladder and had it won, and Christian's like, no, but I should get them.
Yeah.
Again. I always think it's so much better because Nigel's narrating it, and he's talking about, like, Christian Cage has earned this.
Yeah.
He's earned the right.
it's your classic, because you think back to all the shows we grew up on. There was a heel commentator, and it was Jesse Ventura, it was Bobby Heenan, and that was great, and I loved it as a kid. But it doesn't come across that way. It's different, and I don't even know why it's different. It is like in his mind justifying what the heels are doing, rather than just outright blatantly rooting for them. He's trying to give you some logic as to why this is okay. And when he is saying that it's Christian that deserves to go up and get them, I'm with it. I'm like, yeah, of course he does.
You're right, Nigel. I remember when I started watching sort of more modern wrestling with my oldest now, sort of getting back at, I don't know when this would be, like 2016 maybe. And I felt like Corey Graves used to always be pretending to be a heel commentator.
Yeah.
He's just going to say the opposite as to whatever Michael Cole said or whatever. And that's not what Nigel McGuinness is doing.
Yeah.
You believe. He believes what he's saying.
Absolutely.
We get Juice Robinson bringing an absolutely massive ladder into the ring, which actually like is taller than the belts.
Yeah.
He climbs all the way up to that, and Christian tops him off it. That's a hell of a way to fall, and he lands legs akimbo on the top rope. That's
nasty stuff.
That's no good. Just tell me if I'm missing. I'm missing millions of spots, but there was something that the House of Black did where they put someone in the corner, and then they all ran at him from different angles and hit him all at the same time.
Yeah, I've written as like a 3-man cannonball. I didn't really know how to describe it. Yeah,
I think Excalibur called it the 3 heads of Cerberus, which is very cool. That was Wheeler Yuta. They did that to. I think that we should just go at the finish.
I didn't really know Wheeler Yuta, but I quite liked the dynamic of the team. So it was him, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac as the team. I quite liked the dynamic of that team.
Right.
There was a lot of, like, the majority of the teams in here, I knew someone. I think apart from the Guns and Juice, I knew somebody in all the other teams, which, I'm watching something that I don't watch regularly. So it's good to have that connection when you see, but there's also, if it's done well, you'll sort of recognise something in some of the other people that you didn't know. I don't know what it was, but is it Wheeler Yuta? Is that the name? Yeah, there was something, and something I found quite watchable about him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Interesting. We get Mother Wayne giving Christian pepper spray or something like that. He's a devious little bugger, isn't he? She gives him that, and he sprays. I think he sprays Juice as he's going up the ladder. But it's not. That's absolute nonsense. It's your boy Wheeler Yuta that he sprays. Yeah. Then Mother Wayne tries to spray Juice, and he very smartly uses a steel chair that's in his hands to stop her. That's probably my favourite part of the match. He's got a crazy look in his eye. He looks like he's going to like pile driver through a table or something. Yeah. And the crowd are going absolutely mental. It's like, let's go back to like caveman times. They've seen something that they like, yes.
Just waiting for a comeback to the Dudleys putting women through the tables.
That's it. Like Rhino doing it to like whoever, Francine or whatever. Yeah. But that pesky dinosaur gets in the way and stops it happening, doesn't he? We have Christian again, almost making his way up. Pac comes up the other side, basically kicks him off, very straightforward, and takes the titles. So that is the Blackpool Combat Club and Pac, which is odd because they were a makeshift team. And I think it was supposed to be Moxley. I don't know if he got injured or something.
Okay.
And I don't know how it panned out either, to be fair.
When they announced it as the winner, so it went for the team of Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and someone says the Bastard Pac, and I thought, is that just an extension of his name?
That's what it goes by.
Oh, okay.
The Bastard Pac.
It was fun seeing that bastard again. I was like, I used to quite enjoy him. He basically, I think he was a bit unlucky in WWE. He strikes me as a guy that would have done better a few years later. But at the time he was in, I think I could just see Vince obsessing about how short he was.
Right.
And it's like they tried to make a sort of lightweight division a thing again just because he was there.
The 205 thing. Was he involved with that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Was he was NXT champion though, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Aye. He sort of just plays this really miserable, angry little bastard. That seems to be his character. He's really pissed off, and he never wears anything but black pants. Like at the end when they're all celebrating with Bryan Danielson's children and Claudio's got changed, Wheeler Yutta's got changed. Pac just comes back out in his black pants.
I felt like our boy Christian was maybe a wee bit harsh on Luchasaurus here because obviously, he's helped him up the ladder. It's not really his fault that he's been kicked off where he was by Pac, but Christian is fully blaming him for this.
Nothing's ever Christian's fault. I'll let you take our next match, which was for the women's world title.
Okay. So I, not as an avid regular viewer of AEW, I was quite enthusiastic about this because I'd heard good things about the story that had been going with Toni Storm. So they give a little bit of a build for the match where it seems Mariah May was very much under the wing of Toni Storm, but at a point in time she turns on her, and it seems like it was kind of completely unjustified in that, by the sounds of it, Toni Storm would have happily given her opportunity and all that, but she just felt the need to turn on her and brutally attack her. I assume this shoe thing is a Toni Storm thing, and she uses or has in the past used a shoe, and then that has potentially been used against her. That seemed to be the way.
I think it was just that she used her shoe to turn on her. I think it was just as simple as that. So
she was going about with that, and it's got the blood stain of Toni Storm on it. I was watching thinking, I'm assuming, given the way they've done this, again, not knowing much, that Toni Storm's going to be the babyface, Mariah May very much the heel, and the crowd confirmed that pretty quickly as they both came out. I was wondering who this guy was. So, So Toni Storm, but the thing I liked about this, and I said this to you in a message, is there's obviously a little video package, and to be fair, I don't think any company have ever done the video packages as well as WWE do it. I think they set you up for the match and you know the story. But I felt like as soon as these performers were in the ring, I knew the story. The story made sense to me, and the performers, who they were as characters, made sense to me.
Nice.
Toni Storm is a very interesting character here. Kind of is timeless. Toni Storm is the name that she's going by. She's very much a sort of classic movie star, but a little bit untangled with it all. And whether she's got a firm grasp on reality is there to be questioned. And yeah, this guy who's kind of like an assistant, a butler, something like that, that's by her side, and by the sounds of it has kind of always been, and potentially tried to warn her about Mariah May in the past. So yeah, I was there, and I felt involved very quickly. So this is for the world title. We're hearing there's obviously a bit of momentum for Mariah May. She's won the Owen Hart tournament, and she has her own title for that. I've heard of the Owen Hart tournament. I assume there's a male and a females tournament.
Yep, and it guarantees, if you win the tournament, it guarantees you a shot at the title.
Okay. She was very much stabbed in the back by Mariah May. So Toni Storm, right from the start of this, once they're in the ring, is looking incredibly emotional. And they start to fight, and this isn't a 5-star classic in ring match, but I could feel the emotion from it, which I liked.
Nice.
We've got both of them going for signature moves. pretty quickly, but both are countered early on. Mariah May starts getting the better of it, and she even takes the unnecessary step of spitting at Luther. It's just a bit out of order, to be honest. Nigel, I think, was leaning into heel announcing here. He was fully with Mariah May, even in a situation where, so Mariah May's mother is in the crowd at ringside, and Mariah May slaps her. And Nigel is, well, he's just had a kiss from Mariah May, I think, at this point, so he's maybe a little bit flustered and a little bit, but he is fully backing the actions of Mariah May. I think if you were in any doubt about who was supposed to be the heel here, slapping your own mother.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
Nigel says something like, oh, that's terrible. The crowd here in Wembley are booing Toni Storm for the lack of effort she's putting in.
Toni Storm actually goes and checks on and embraces Mariah May's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a spot where Mariah May's going to end up busted open. Tony Schiavone says, bring out the vampires, which I thought was a bit strange.
That's a weird thing to say.
We've got the momentum of the match completely changes. It's all Toni Storm, and she's basically just chucking Mariah May around the ring, totally dominating.
Yeah. That reminded me. Remember, people used to grab Mr. Perfect. Well, Bret Hart used to grab Mr. Perfect by the hair and just launch him across the ring. It was a bit like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Then we've got Mariah May's she's begging off at times, your classic heel, just trying, stop, while the aggression's coming towards her. Nigel says, have some sympathy. Her mother's at ringside. That got me. We get Toni Storm with a slap and then a slam, a 2 count. We get a missile dropkick off the top by May, I think that was.
Yeah, she's really good at that, actually.
Yeah, she. I thought she looked impressive, athletically, Mariah May. I think, Toni Storm did not look the same kind of athlete, but obviously she has a hell of a lot of character work that's going on there and is getting over. I don't know if this character is still on the go. It struck me as something that would be a long-term character, but yeah.
I'll tell you about at the end where it went.
Okay,
if you like.
When was this again? Was this just last year? Last summer?
Last summer. Aye.
Yeah. We have a hip attack by May, which I think is a Toni Storm move that she is using on her. And she sets up Storm counters, big clothesline, German suplex, and a signature Storm Zero move. But May kicks out to the shock of the crowd, which made me think that's probably been a bit of a protected move. And we get... I've got they kick each other in the fanny and then headbutt each other and fall to the mat.
Nice.
From here, Mariah May with a move called the Mayday, which is a bit like an attitude adjustment.
I called it the thrill of the hunt.
Okay. And that gets her a 2. May reaching for the belt, but Luther pulls it away and gives her the finger.
Classic Luther. Brilliant.
Mariah May has the shoe, but Toni Storm stands on her hand and takes it off her. Now we've got, again, the begging from May. She's begging Storm not to use the shoe on her. Is the ref down at this point? Maybe.
Nah. And that was bothering me a little bit.
Right, okay. I was trying to maybe give it the benefit of the doubt.
I've got it in capital letters. The ref is doing nothing to prevent this.
We get Storm not using the shoe and then almost getting pinned by a roll-up. That was giving me some Sexy Star vibes when I saw that.
Nice.
Get a knee to the back and then a running knee to the head by May.
Brutal.
A pile driver by May, and she wins the world title. So basically, I think Toni Storm, she could have used the shoe. She could have taken that direction. She didn't. Maybe cost her the title, and I think Nigel is very gleefully saying that as well. So we've got Mariah May leaving with the belts. Her mother does not look too happy. You think she'd be proud, but Storm recovering, and she gets quite a good reaction from the crowd. And as she's leaving the ring and the ring area, she is looking more and more just broken down as a person. She seems to be unraveling.
Yep. And so from there, she returns to the sort of punk rocker character that she was before, and she's acting as if this is her first time in AEW, and she's saying like, I'm just a young kid here trying to learn my trade, and it's a privilege to go up against all these veterans and all this sort of stuff. And then eventually she, after months and months of doing that, I don't know if she gets a knock on the head or something like that, but basically Timeless comes back eventually. But the stuff that she was doing when she's talking about being like brand new to the organisation, that's quite funny.
Nice. Do you know, that is a little bit like what I think I said to you I thought they should do as a way out of the Bray Wyatt thing when he had become the demon, because I didn't see a way out of that. But I thought if he got like a head injury in a match and then he came back as if he was just, what was it, like Husky Harris or something like that, and just being like, hey, I'm just hoping for my shot at the big time, that kind of thing. Interesting.
So Adam, that ladies' title match was given by our oracles at the Wrestling Observer 3 3/4 stars, which generally sounds all right.
Sounds okay, yeah.
They gave the ladder match before it 4.5 stars.
Yeah, that's generous.
It is indeed, isn't it? I think, I would swap them round personally. I think that I wonder if it's. Have you ever heard Meltzer talking about what he bases his star rating on? No,
I've never really overthought it, because I've always thought it's just one guy's opinion. So I've never overthought. And if the guy didn't ever give Kurt Angle a 5-star match, I kind of thought, man, how much am I wanting to really listen here?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm sure do you know who Chris Van Vliet is?
I've heard the name. Is he another journalist? Does he do a lot of like interviews?
Yeah. He pushed Meltzer one time, and he basically pushed Meltzer into a position where he was like explaining his star ratings, and it's just so bizarre because he was saying stuff like, I think he'd even talked about giving a star rating on something he'd never seen, but because he'd heard that the crowd really loved it, he gave it like 4 stars, for example. He's given it based on like the crowd pop and I don't know, all sorts of things that just sound ridiculous. You're right, you're living the right way. You like what you see in front of you. It is just funny to see these star ratings sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, if you're going on that, then like, do you remember the title match where Foley won the world title, and Austin came down with the chair, and it had been like the Outlaws and what I assume was the Nation at the time getting involved in the match, and it looked like a really scrappy match, but I don't know that I've ever heard a pop like that one for Austin coming down. So does that make it a 5-star match? And he wasn't even a participant.
Possibly. That's what is that? The Butts and Seats title one?
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure he would go for that. Right, let's march on forward with our F the World title match between Hook, Taz's son. You said you weren't aware of. I think we'd spoken. You'd said you weren't aware of Hook before. You became aware that he was Taz's son.
Yeah. So I we all remember Taz. We all fondly, I think, remember Taz?
Oh,
Kinda?
yeah, most definitely.
ECW Taz was class. I think they kind of ruined him in WWE, but he was a machine, and one of these guys that he was a bit smaller, like height wise, but you never really thought about it because he was an absolute machine.
He was a tank, and it kind of him being that small actually sort of lended something to his mystery and his sort of animal nature. I think they did the Taz like alarm type thing before Hook came out, but it's not the same when it's like a rap song that comes, a slow rap song that comes on. What's that rapper called? You might know. He's like a big fat white guy. He had a show on Vice called like "Fuck That's Delicious" or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna have
the
to
only
look
white
it up
rappers I knew were Eminem and the Beastie Boys.
You mean to say you weren't following? And now I'm trying to think. What's it? Action Bronson.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He's actually had matches in AEW as well.
Oh.
Aye. It's that sort of thing. So we've got Hook coming out to the Taz alarm and then the Action Bronson music, and then we've got Jericho with Big Bill, who was Big Cass. You'll recognise. He looks in incredible shape.
He does. I think he had some problems, didn't he? But I think he's on the right track now. I think. Yeah.
And they had the bounty hunter Brian Keith with them. I think they refer to him as the Bad Apple. And Jericho does his whole "Hi guys" shtick, the sort of the Eugene end of the Jericho spectrum we're getting here. Yeah. And he sings with Fozzy, Adam, and I fast forwarded.
It didn't really do it for me. I didn't fast forward. Maybe I should have. I'm not a fuzzy guy, you know.
You're not?
I mean, it probably suits me as a nickname in a way, but now it's a band, so yeah.
You would be pretty gutted if you were a huge fan of Fozzy Bear.
Yeah.
And then Jericho just comes along with his Pretenders.
Yeah.
Anyway, who comes out with one eye covered? He's got all taped up.
Yes.
I just would like to just jump straight into this. First of all, it's quite an overused trope in modern wrestling, this one-eyed thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because they did a little bit in the build-up about, I think they showed a clip of him having a fireball in the face.
Right.
Looked a wee bit better than, like, you know, your Hogan Warrior situation back in the day. But yeah.
That was Jericho's other shtick. He was, I'm a wizard, and he would shoot fireballs at people. That's right. So Hook comes out with this, covering his eye, and not to gloss over the rest of this fantastic, 3-star match, but he takes it off pretty much a minute before the end of the match, as if to go, ha, got you. But he's just wrestled a match with one eye.
I'm like looking for someone who is pretending to be like disorientated or unable to see a blindside attack. I think the announcers say that at one point. Oh, he wouldn't have seen them coming because they came from his blindside. And I'm waiting for him being bang in trouble, and then maybe, you know, the heel's starting to take some liberties, and then all of a sudden the patch comes off. He executes a perfect move and the patch comes off. But nah, it's just here's wrestling normally, and then the patch comes off.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah.
And this being an FTW match, remember the FTW title on
I do.
ECW? That was Taz's thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This being an FTW match, it's no DQ, so as brazen as you get. We've got the big Redwood and Brian Keith just jump in the ring, start attacking Hook straight off the bat, which is just a bit like, I don't know. I think for an older gentleman like myself, I'm just a bit like, I don't know, you're just doing that right in front of I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a bit stupid.
And Taz for ages gives zero shit that his kid is being triple teamed. Yeah.
Triple teamed is a more appropriate term. 3-teamed. Jesus, it's really hot here in Scotland today. That's my only excuse for using 3-teamed.
It's a bit mad, and we're not used to it. It has a funny effect on us.
Turns everybody into looking like lobsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not really talk too much about this match because it's really horrible. But we do have to talk about a few things, like kicking out the code breaker on one.
Yeah, what's that about?
A move that's been used to win world championships in the day. Jericho smashing cricket balls. No, was it Hook throwing? Oh no, it's both. Jericho's smashing cricket balls with a cricket bat that could have quite easily bounced into the front row. Or
that was as soon as I figured out that they were cricket balls and not apples, because I thought at first they were apples.
That would have worked for the learning tree and been safer.
I thought this could be quite dangerous because there's a bat, isn't there? There's a cricket bat with "Hi Guys" written on it.
Yeah.
And I think Hook ends up with that bat, and he's launching them back at Jericho. Yeah.
I'd be a bit scared if I was anywhere near ringside there. Hook very much likes a suplex, a T-bone, a German, a back.
It feels like Taz trained him and just really leaned in to the suplexes. It's like the rest will come, and they just never came.
Nah, he just completed his wrestler. So I'll go back at some point and put other moves in. This is absolute garbage. If this hadn't been on this pay-per-view, it would have improved the pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's a barbed wire board, isn't there?
Yeah. Who falls in that?
So I think it gets set up for Hook to land on it, but he squirms out of the way, and I think it ends up being Big Bill that goes through it.
He's just got no top on. I'm fairly tough one for Big Bill. He's got to earn that plane ticket ride to Wembley, I suppose.
Yeah, true.
How do we get to a finish? Yes, we get to finish because after watching his son get, like you say, 3-teamed by these guys for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
It's probably longer, actually.
Felt like a lot longer.
He then decides he's had enough, and he goes and slaps the Taz mission on one of the guys. And I think at the same time, Hook's got a Taz mission on Jericho.
Yeah.
I've got my notes here that Taz, as soon as Hook's taken off that patch, he's thought, oh, he's actually got a chance to win here, so I don't mind aligning with him.
Okay. I mean, it just, even regardless of chances of winning or losing, just watching your son get 3-teamed for such a long time just seems harsh.
I like that. Oh, this was Taz's first appearance on the commentary team as well. It's like they rolled him out here to watch his son get peacefully embarrassed.
Yeah. So is he's a regular announcer, isn't he?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Him and Excalibur are quite good together, actually.
Yeah, I never actually minded Taz in his WWE days, but you just knew that there was somebody screaming in his ear constantly.
Aye. Yeah. 100%. So Hook wins his FTW title back. Just don't put us on the pay-per-view. Like, if you need Jericho to be at Wembley or whatever, just stick him on the 0 hour, for God's sake.
And stick Fozzy with him on the 0 hour.
Absolutely.
If they have to play. If it's somewhere in the contract.
They can go on the -1 hour somewhere. Okay.
I wonder how he like, see when he's speaking to his Fozzy bandmates, he's like, guys, I've got us a gig at Wembley. And they're like, Jesus! Like, yeah, we're gonna do one song. And, you know, I'll kind of be intertwining it with some wrestling story. And they're like, oh,
again, with the wrestling. You said we were going on a world tour, Chris. I say a lot of things. Hi, guys. Okay, from one of your favourites, Jericho, to more of your favourites, the Young Buckaroos, defending their AEW World Tag Team titles against FTR, who we have seen in the past on an NXT show, and we enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
We like
FTR,
this sort of
proper old school style
throwback
tag team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're claimed with Daddy Ass in a triple threat tag team match. I will let you do the honours for this one. Okay,
so the Young Bucks here, they're I think it's referenced that they basically never defend these titles. They're kind of cowardly champions. FTR had faced the Acclaimed in a number 1 contenders match. the Bucks interfered so that there was no finish. A sort of a classic. We've seen this plenty of times. They're trying to get out of defending it, but actually what ends up happening is, well, you're going to face both teams then. So the match is set, and we're going to have the young. But I get it, right? The Bucks are meant to annoy you. I get that. I'm an adult. I know what's going on here. But I got really annoyed seeing them come out in their Sgt. Pepper's Beatles stuff. It just really wound me up. Probably exactly what they planned.
You got worked by the Bucks.
I did. I'm disappointed in myself. We get the Acclaimed. So there's a rapper guy.
Max Caster. Yep.
Yep. He seems quite good at what he does. That's all right. I mean, it's a bit, I feel like John Cena from his early days, but, the guy's probably better at executing it than Cena was. And we are going to get me realising that I knew the phrase "scissor me daddy" all along, and this is it, come back here. And how did this happen? And how are the crowd chanting "scissor me daddy"?
When the Acclaimed come out, Max normally does his rap, and then Bones says the Acclaimed are here or something like that, and then they scissor. They used to scissor, like scissor, but then they were feuding with the Guns, and I don't know if one of the Guns maybe was annoyed at Dad or whatever, and then somehow it got to a point of "scissor me daddy."
So it's one of those things. You tell somebody that we're going to get that over, and fair play to them, because it does seem to be over.
Even before he started rapping around, there was "scissor me dad," like really loud for the crowd.
Yeah, I'd kind of forgot about the whole thing until I heard it being chanted here.
Brilliant.
FTR, who are basically the ones in this that I'm kind of most familiar with, although I've seen the Bucks on various bits and pieces, and I like FTR. They remind me of the tag teams from the golden era.
What was the tag team called? Where they both wore red pants, and were they called the Brain Busters? Was it
Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard?
Was it Tully Blanchard? That's what they always remind me of.
Yeah, so they've been like the tag champs in WCW and moved across over, I think, pay disputes at some point. And they were that team that I don't think I liked when I was young, because I thought they were a bit boring. You had all these over the top teams, but now if I watch them, they're very, very good.
Yeah. We should make a list of those, because we've got Regal on that list and JBL as well.
Yeah. Now I'm maybe going to get annoyed as I'm talking about the Bucks here. I can see the words "poor man Shannon Moore" in my notes. So yeah. There's some okay say. I'm not going to go through every move on the go here. I'm getting annoyed with myself for getting annoyed at the Bucks. I'm calling myself a mark in my notes. I got a bit annoyed about the lack of structure in the match, because it seems like, do you know what I was craving here? And again, we talked about something with this earlier. You remember when you would just have a tag team match that was like two teams and they would just have a match? Whereas now, so many of them seem to be three-way matches, and there's like constantly two people in the ring from each team. It just happens all the time. And
it's like, it's not really a match, is it? It's sequences.
Yeah. So I was getting a bit annoyed by that. We've got some nice moves, like good German suplexes and things like that by Dax, and I've got Dax German suplexes both Bucks in a move that's a bit silly, but that's fine. FTR going for some old school combination attempts, but it just ends with everyone getting a bit crash and burn situation. Billy Gunn, I keep hearing this, and then you see him, and how this guy is ridiculous. The shape he is in, that's insane.
He's I know. What was it John Cena used to be called in?
The Prototype.
Prototype. That's what they should rename Billy Gunn. He's ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel like he always seemed in ridiculously good shape, but it looks like he's in better shape now, which is just nuts. DDT by Dax and an attempt at a pile driver gets foiled. FTR seem to have the match won, but the ref gets pulled out of the ring. The Bucks get on a bit of a roll. We get a brief sort of combination between one of the Bucks and the Acclaimed, which doesn't last very long. Get blatant low blows by both Bucks, which it just looked like the ref had to at least see one of them.
That annoyed me as well. Like, the one whoever the one was that the ref's back was to, fine. The other one is blatantly right in front of our boy Rick Knox. Ah, dear. This was after that they'd, or this was just before that they pumped up their Reeboks. And I've also got my notes next to this. I wish I had a camera on Adam during this match.
I was trying so hard not to get annoyed because that's what they want, and I don't want them
just
to win.
giving into them.
We get a near fall by the Acclaimed. No, the Acclaimed pretty much look like they have the win, but a young Buck breaks the referee's count.
Jeremy Buck.
Yeah. Okay. We get one of FTR with a suicide dive. We get, again, one of the Bucks with a roll-up after a shot with a title belt onto the opponent. Get some nice little kicks and knees by the Bucks, and then that's basically it. That's what takes us to our conclusion. So they've been heelish enough in that they used the title belt. They've retained their titles. I really wanted... why did I care so much? Like, I'm watching this in isolation. What happened next didn't matter.
Absolutely worked into a frenzy over here.
I wanted FTR to win. I wanted them to take the titles, and I wanted the Bucks to be upset. So yeah, they basically they steal the win like they've stolen a career. And then these two gentlemen show up. Are they both wearing like Liverpool shirts, football shirts?
Aye.
Yeah.
The grizzled young vets, I think. I think they were in NXT.
Okay. And the sort of story that's going on here is quite clear that they're challenging the Bucks. They've turned up. They're challenging the Bucks, but I think they actually take out the members as they're there of the other teams, and don't actually physically interact with the Bucks.
Yeah.
That pretty much is that.
That is pretty much. I thought the Acclaimed should have won this. I feel like this came to a nice conclusion at a certain point. I don't know what the Acclaimed hit their finish, but one of the Bucks broke it up, and I thought that would have been a nice place.
Okay.
You like going beyond what we're saying about sequencing and 20 folk in the ring and all that. Like that's just what happens now. So you need to put that to the side. Yeah. But you can over-egg the pudding, I think.
Yeah. And again, I'm not specifically digging at AEW with that, because it is not just AEW. It's everywhere.
So I felt, I just got my notes there, that this was, it's good that this wasn't back-to-back the Trios title, because that would have been really difficult to differentiate the matches. But like, there's some good stuff, and I think one of the Bucks, particularly Nick Jackson, he does some really impressive stuff. But I'm not going to get you to admit to that.
There was an advert for they were doing a Forbidden Door in London. I wasn't sure, because I think they advertise it for, is it 2025 they advertise it for? I wasn't sure if that had happened yet or not.
That is August.
Okay.
I'm going to the Dynamite and the Collision on the Wednesday, and then it's on the Saturday night, I think it is.
Okay.
Okay. Now, our next match was the Casino Gauntlet match, which is whoever wins is guaranteed a title shot. We're told at the outset that 20 men enter at random intervals, and the match could end at any time because it ends through submission or pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the smirk on your face. I especially when I watched it live, I thought this was fucking magic. I loved this. This is like pure novelty wrestling.
I didn't hate this.
All right,
you know
okay.
the thing, right? When you're told, I was sat there thinking because the time intervals aren't set. You know, it's random time intervals that somebody new gets brought in. There was a point where I was thinking after maybe about 10 people or something like that had come in, oh Jesus, this is gonna drag because but the fact that it's got this different quirk to it where it can end and not everyone who is supposed to be entering the match will necessarily get into the match, which I thought was something just a bit different. I was probably overthinking the psychology because imagine if you're someone in most multi-person matches where it's a staggered entrance, you want to be at the end, but you don't want to be at the end here because, as we see, you might not get in, but you also don't want to be right at the start. You want to be, a time when you think, well, I can come in and have some control over what's going on, but I want to be a bit fresher than a few of the... I quite like the concept.
Nice. I'll jump right to what I was going to say. So I think we end up with 12 people eventually getting in. I was just doing a little bit of fantasy booking at the end, and if you had somebody that hadn't debuted on TV or something like that, you could pan to them backstage and they're absolutely like trashing the place because they were waiting to get in.
Oh yeah.
And then you have them, who won it? Christian.
Yeah.
You have them challenge Christian for it and say like, I never got my fair shot or something like that.
Yeah. It gives you storyline options.
So I'm glad you enjoyed it. So first enters Orange Cassidy. He does like a Mr. Bean type skit type thing. Is this your first viewing of OC? Freshly squeezed?
So I was aware of him. I can't think that I've actually seen him in a match before, but he did do one thing that was really annoying me.
What, the hands in the pocket stuff?
See when he does the nip up with the hands in the pockets? That's surely far more physical effort than if you just... So he's to be laid back, but he's making that a lot harder for himself.
You need to give him a wee tweet or something.
Yeah.
He might not reply. Maybe just a thumbs up. Second is Kazuchika Okada. What a top pop for Okada.
Mm-hmm. So was he new at this stage? Did they...
Relatively.
They said he was the Continental Champion, I think. Yeah.
He'd not been long in.
Right.
And he was a heel because he was aligned with the Bucks.
Yes.
At that point, and Jack Perry. But the crowd don't care. They're getting to see Okada in the flesh, so happy days. I really enjoyed their very first sort of interaction where Okada looks like he's wanting to hug. They go for the hug and then his facial expression completely changes.
Yeah.
And he double crosses Orange Cassidy. We get the pockets stuff that you kind of have to get in where it's one-on-one because that'd be hard to get in later on, wouldn't it?
Just like a sea of people around him and he's doing that.
I don't think he does it as much as what he used to do. He used to do a whole, he like wrestle whole matches like that and stuff like that, and you can see that getting old quick.
Yeah.
Like every now and again I think is fine, and comedy in your wrestling's fine as well.
Yeah. I think in the right moments and as long as you're not overdoing it.
Third to come in was Nigel fucking McGuinness. Yes.
I got quite a shock with this because you know how they were doing. Obviously, they'd brought out Taz for his son's match. I'd kind of lost track. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that Nigel McGuinness wasn't currently at the announce desk. But yeah, what a reaction!
It's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Okada's standing in the ring that pans to him and he's like looking like dead. Not happy, but amused.
Yeah.
I've got some pointers for Nigel. I would suggest stop doing that handstand on the turnbuckle thing because it doesn't seem to be working out for him very well. Who do we get after that?
After Nigel McGuinness.
Kyle O'Reilly comes in after that. Remember him?
Yes, I did. Although I had a bit of a moment when his music started to come in because in the very first beat of it, I thought it was the Heart Foundation music.
What do you think was happening?
I didn't know.
Just hundreds of coffins come rolling down the... Well, I think that's terrible. Martha Hart was at the pay-per-view because she was on the 0 hour. I think she was there to congratulate whoever had won the Owen Hart belts or something.
Yeah.
Who had won them? I think you referred to it. It was
Mariah May had the women's. Who had the men's?
Must have been Bryan, no? Because he had the title shot. Maybe not.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah.
It wasn't Jeff Jarrett. He was desperate to win it, I remember.
It was, and I quite like the fact they did that story about him being desperate to win it.
It's maybe Hangman. I can't remember. Hangman won it this year. Then we get Zack Sabre Jr. coming in after O'Reilly does a bit of his sort of fake MMA stuff, which I don't know. Don't know if I've ever really thought was very good. Like, he's like one of these guys that, you know, like wrestlers are technical wrestlers, and you can appreciate that, like a Bryan Danielson, like Zack Sabre Jr. We're just going to talk about. Like O'Reilly's not really like that though. He's just kind of like, I don't know. But
I only really remember him
messy.
He was in NXT. He was in a faction.
He was in the Adam Cole Undisputed Era.
I felt like he kind of fit quite well into that. That worked.
Aye. Zack Sabre Jr. is coming in after that. Again, the crowd are well up for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably just that thing of like pop, 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 like a Royal Rumble sort of thing.
Yeah, you don't know who's coming. Yeah.
Aye. Yeah. We got a good face-off between Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness. Have you seen Zack Sabre Jr. before?
I've not. My like in terms of current wrestling, what I tend to do is like there's a couple of websites I'll go on. I'll just read up on what's happening, and over the last few years, heard very good things about the talent he is said to be, but I can't say I've ever seen him in an actual full match. Right,
I've definitely seen him wrestling Progress before with Marty Scurll, but I beyond that, I don't think I've seen. I loved some of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah. Is he still there? Is he still in?
He's New Japan.
Ah, right, okay. Oh, yeah, they'd said he'd just won the G1 Climax.
Oh, did they? Right, okay. Okada, at some point, decides to give the crowd the middle finger, but Zack Sabre Jr. grabs it and tries to snap it.
He did, yeah.
Which looked brutal. We got Roderick Strong coming in, which is just a bit meh. Sorry, Roddy. Seventh is Mark Briscoe, and he gets a good pop. And, like, I don't know, it's just, like, he's a good guy to have in this, because he's just, like, crowd favourite, and he just comes in and goes a bit wild. He's doing, like, weird kung fu stuff.
When he does, like, his basically toothless smile, I'm a bit like, I'd be just running away from this guy.
He does. It's funny to see in like a battle royal type match like this. You see him dives to the outside, because he does a mental dive to the outside and takes someone out. But it's not really something you see apart from in the 1997 Royal Rumble, and that guy jumped for the top rope. Was that a 97 one? Before that, it's like a Japanese wrestler, so I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I do remember this happening. It was strange.
The most bizarre way to eliminate yourself.
Yeah.
Double axe handle from the top rope. Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't understand.
Who we got? We got your boy Hangman coming out next. He's very much a main character still, isn't he?
Yeah, so they've got the story they're going with for Hangman here is he's got an ongoing issue with Swerve, who is the champion, so obviously desperate to win this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Do you know what he did? I think I maybe sent you a photo of this at the time. He burned Swerve's like childhood home down or something like that, like sitting right in front of it. Yeah. I'm just listing who all came out. We get Jarrett next, and again a huge pop, massive. His music, I suppose, is. Like people know his music, obviously, from his wrestling, but then from his podcast and stuff like that, he's got that behind him. Normally, when it comes out to his wife, you kind of think of him as a heel. Yeah. But no, and I think Jarrett and Hangman had a thing going. It must have been through this Owen Hart tournament.
Yeah.
I think, does Hangman end up getting the guitar? Somebody definitely does.
Somebody does. It was Hangman. So Karen does the distraction and Jeff smashes it over his head.
That's right. Our next entrant at number 10 is a surprise entry. It's Ricochet.
Yeah, so this was debut, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of Ricochet in the last few months, but
of course, so we have. I've never even thought of that.
Yeah,
that's funny. Always a talent and always good to watch Ricochet.
Yeah, I always felt like he felt. Did he feel to you like he was? They just missed it in WWE
100%.
In terms of what to do with him, because he would have the matches and he would usually have like a big spot in a match, and that seemed to become his thing rather than, I get he's probably not the most natural talker that you're going to get, but there's ways you can work around that.
He's been good on the mic in AEW. He's been like a really arrogant heel type character.
I wonder if they're just giving him more of a chance to do it than they ever did in WWE.
Yeah. And in Lucha. And should have got Conan to come in with him. Imagine that. Yeah. We get Ricochet taking out Hang. He does all sorts of crazy stuff. Dive, taking out about 6 guys with the things that we've seen him do before. Shooting star, springboard shooting star press to the floor. It's brilliant.
All I was thinking though was, you've got your big sort of signing that you want to debut in this. He's in this match where it could be over before his number comes up. This could have backfired horribly for AEW.
Well, that was part of my fantasy booking. I was thinking you have Ricochet backstage raging, but Ricochet to debut Ricochet and not have him be in the ring's probably no very good booking. So
it's probably up there with WCW debuting Bret Hart as a
special guest ref. So fair play to Tony Khan on that one. I've got in my notes here that Zack Sabre Jr. does something absolutely awesome on Okada. I put him in an armbar, but I've no idea what he did. We get yes, Christian is in next, sort of limping out. He's missed the boat in the Trios Championship, so he's decided to enter into this.
What a brave guy! He's limping. He's a warrior.
A strong father figure, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
And then Luchasaurus comes after him, and Luchasaurus. Well, I was going to say Luchasaurus looks annoyed, but you can't actually tell that. So
yeah.
But his body language tells us that he's making a beeline straight for Christian, because, like you said, he was getting pretty much blamed for them losing the Trios Championship. They try to do a thing where it looks like he's going to choke slam Christian. It kind of failed.
Yeah, I never for a second thought that he was going to do that.
He instead chokeslams Kyle O'Reilly and chucks Christian on top of him. And that is the 3 count.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be impossible for somebody to get a 3 count with 12 people in here, but it was strangely quite, well, not straightforward, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was enjoyable, really good fun type match.
It was, yeah. It's difficult to get these kind of matches right. Obviously we've had the Royal Rumble's the best example ever of, I think, getting this kind of match right. But there's been so many multi-person sort of gimmick-type matches that just haven't really worked.
Yeah, I wondered if... have you ever... So what did TNA do with their...
They did the
King of the Mountain
match. Yeah.
I'm sure that was horrendous.
I can't really remember the rules around it. I just remember it not really making sense.
And they used to do for the Ultimate X type match. Well, the Ultimate X was the X over the ring, wasn't there? But they also did a thing where you could get thrown over the top rope and then the last 2 wrestle.
Yes.
Never minded that.
Yeah.
NXT do this thing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where they have like I don't even know what it is. It's almost like a phone booth. I think it's like a hockey type bench type area that you have to. So I say it's like 6 men in the match. If you get pinned, you get put in there, and whoever, I think it's over maybe 30 minutes, whoever has the most pins win. But if there's more than 2 guys in the thing, that it's just chaos and they start fighting inside it and all that. And it sounds, I'm probably not selling it very well, but it's actually quite a good new type of multi-man gimmick match.
Right. Thanks.
I think along with that and with this, it's nice to see like a sort of fresh approach to a different type of match.
I was really quite happy, because I like when I think between the first and second entrant, I was like, what's the time interval here? Because that wasn't the same as that.
Mm.
And then I think they say at random times, and I was like, and I quite like that quirk in it, because let's face it, the Royal Rumble is not exactly timed to be the exact same gap between performer entries, but it's close. They'll let some in breathe for a few minutes when they feel like they need to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there is a formula there that they're roughly following. But here, just you could have all these different matchups, and you could kind of just let them go as long as you want to before adding in a different element.
You potentially have a heel walking really slowly to the ring because they don't want to get involved, and then just chuck a face right behind them. It throws them to the ring and stuff like that. You've got options. I always think with War Games, whatever it is it 3 minutes in between every entry? It's just painstaking.
Yeah.
Not so much the old ones, I don't think, but one of my sons actually had the Bloodline one. It's like whatever it was, Bloodline versus fake Bloodline or whatever, and these 3 minutes seem to drag forever.
I never actually watched that one. I quite liked some of the old ones. I mean, it would always be the same formula where the heels always had the advantage. They always had the number advantage every time, because that's how you do this. But yeah,
in WCW they filled it in because you had the guys round the ring and stuff like that. No stood in cages, because obviously you have to get your WWE entrance in for it to take.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
shite. Okay, Adam, I'm gonna pass it over to you for Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Will Ospreay for the International/USA Championship. Hold on, actually, I'll tell you what that match got. That gauntlet match got. 4.5 stars.
Okay. I enjoyed it. So I've not. I think it's maybe a quarter of a star too high, but I've no real issue with it.
Yeah, it was fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we get a bit of build for the MJF and Ospreay match. Based on what we're given and somebody who didn't really know what was going on, the gist seems to be that Will Ospreay has come in to the company. MJF is obviously your established, one of your top guys, and he seems to be questioning whether Will Ospreay really has what it takes to come in here and be a top guy, and being very MJF about it all. And I don't know how long Ospreay had been in at this point. He's kind of getting a reaction, which is fairly, it's very enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, this obviously it's a London crowd as well. They don't get to see the guys live as often. But yeah, he's very over as Will Ospreay.
Massively.
Not somebody I have seen much of again. I would try to remember which podcast it was. There's some I dip in and out of, and I think it might have been one of those. I think it might have been the Kevin Nash one, where he was asked about Ospreay and Omega, and he was basically like, "Look, it's not really my kind of thing, but those guys do it better than other people do." So I thought, I'll give this a chance. And in terms of in-ring, in terms of what was going on, I thought this was fine. I thought it was quite entertaining.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My issue was more in storyline, but I'll cover that as I go.
Okay.
So MJF comes with a full All-American Apollo Creed entrance, going for all of the heat. He
should have come out to Living in America. But saying that, we wouldn't have got the crowd singing his music, which I thought was great as well.
Yeah. And they go all out with the Ospreay entrance as well.
Aye, this huge big Assassin's Creed themed thing. One of those, I know you're famously not a gamer, but is that one that you've played, Assassin's Creed?
I have. I think I played it. I was terrible at it, and then I put it down.
Nice. Imagine you kept playing. That could have been you doing all that stuff.
Well,
clapping your hands and pointing at ropes and turnbuckles.
Probably not. So yeah, I think the sort of contrast you've got between the two is immediate. It's quite clear, and we've got MJF does not take long to start healing out. In terms of the in-ring work, I do. You messaged me about this, and I do find a lot of it entertaining. Where it's the sort of blatant nature of him going for the shortcuts, like if he goes for an eye gouge or something like that, when Ospreay has either just done some incredible move or is about to attempt some incredible move, and it's just like, I'll just thumb you in the eye. And that's that. Which is it is funny. It kind of makes me laugh. We get quite a back and forth. I didn't know how long this match was. It didn't feel long. It must have gone a wee while though.
I think it must have been a good 25 minutes, half an hour, right. I think.
Okay, so I suppose a positive that I can definitely say about it is I didn't feel like I was sitting here thinking, oh God, this has been going on ages.
Nice.
Because that's when you know that you're not enjoying something as if it's really dragging. Through some of the moves, that he's very athletic, Ospreay. Like you had said to me, you didn't think he was quite as flippy now as he maybe was at a point in time. I've really not seen much of him, so I didn't have much in terms of a reference point, but he's a very impressive looking worker. There's like flying forearms and things like that, and he just sort of glides through the air, almost Ricochet style from some of the Prince Puma stuff we've been watching. I've got a moment here where I really wasn't sure, because he did it well, if MJF had legitimately tweaked his knee, or if he was just playing the heel and pretending that he'd got himself a little injury. But the announcers kind of clear that up quite quickly for you by saying that you can't trust him because this is a common MJF trick or tactic. And I've then got a whole lot of manoeuvres by Ospreay, and MJF just puts his finger in his eye. Ospreay hits I don't know what some of the moves are called. Front flip kick thing. And then MJF, just seconds later or a moment later, snots on him, which is just pretty horrendous.
I think it's pushing boundaries.
Being spat at is a pretty horrible thought, but being snotted on,
it's too much.
Yeah. We get Ospreay flipping over the ropes, MJF catching him and tombstoning him on the outside.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, and I quite liked MJF shouting at him, "Anyone can flip, you piece of shit." So, they're giving me bits about who MJF is here in this story. We get a Spanish fly on the floor by Ospreay.
Yeah.
Do you know, again, I'll say it again, it's not just AEW. It happens in a lot of places. I feel like it kind of works at times when it happens in Lucha Underground. I'm not as sold when it happens in some other areas.
Okay.
I think what I miss from a storytelling in match point of view is they start going for a story where MJF is... Oh no, wait, is it the other way around? One of them is basically focusing their attack on the neck area of the other one. I think it's MJF on Ospreay, I think. But that doesn't seem to limit, as the match goes, anything Ospreay is able to do regarding his neck. And I think I just miss little things like that. I know, people say people don't sell anymore. There is selling. Somebody will be down holding a body part after a move, but I think it gets quickly forgotten about. Mm-hmm. Whereas you just know in Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect days that they're remembering what the move was on the body part, and they are.
Yeah, that's fair criticism.
But again, it is not just AEW.
No,
that's the case everywhere.
I think a way to describe this, I think this was Cornette that described this way. He said, "I was looking forward to this, and I hoped that Ospreay would have an MJF match, but unfortunately, MJF ended up having an Ospreay match." Okay.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't either, but I think that was kind of fair. I think their styles actually meshed pretty well, because it gave Ospreay a chance to do his stuff, but MJF's personality is stronger and bigger than his actual moves and his in-ring.
So we get a series of other moves. We get a shooting star press by Ospreay while MJF is sort of balanced on the ropes.
That was crazy.
We get
the way that he bounces into the ring perfectly is crazy.
We get Ospreay countering an MJF move into a stunner. And we get MJF with a pile driver. I'm never sure these days how I feel about pile drivers. This has just kind of stayed with me for years. I just feel uncomfortable watching them.
There was a lot of moves in this match where I thought they must have been only... You can't do things that fast without it being millimetres away from disaster.
Yeah.
And that's not even mentioning the Tiger Driver.
Yeah. We get Ospreay with, I think it was called a Stormbreaker move.
Yeah, that's what, like he's sort of one of his finishing type moves.
Right. Ospreay looking to perform a move on the apron. MJF stumbles back to avoid it, and then a Canadian Destroyer by MJF on the apron, which I just thought from a timing point of view, that's like anytime somebody performs a move on the apron, you've got like this little space to work with.
Yeah.
Seems risky. Ospreay is, I think that's the point where the focus really started on the neck of Ospreay.
Right.
MJF is being a dick and playing to the crowd as he does. Ospreay hit a springboard stunner on the apron. His neck is fine.
He lands terribly. That does not hit on the apron the same way as it hits in the middle of the ring because there's just no room to land properly.
I saw, I can't remember who was involved. I think it was there's a guy, Fletcher, and Adam Cole had a match a few weeks ago, and there was an attempt
he bounced him off the apron.
Yeah.
A powerbomb or something.
And I was thinking, with Adam Cole's injury history,
I think it turned out they didn't actually hit his neck or his head, or it was his elbow or something, wasn't it? But it did look like it.
Yeah, I just saw, it was one of them, I saw a clip of it, and you know when you just wince when you see it, and you're like, oh, and then seeing that it was Adam Cole, it's like, nah. Why have I written this? Ospreay dives off the apron, MJF moves, Ospreay wipes out a cameraman.
Yeah, he doesn't
and then I've got the cameraman has very snazzy socks and boxers on.
Nice. That's an eye for detail, I like it.
I mean, I was assuming that was intended, but it looked like it would hurt.
Definitely.
I mean, you've got a guy just landing on you.
He's a big guy, like.
Yeah. So Ospreay is then showing his concern about this cameraman that's been wiped out. MJF grabs the title belt, swings and misses, catches a kick from Ospreay. Ospreay charges in. MJF hits him with the title belt, but he kicks out.
Yes.
We get a brainbuster by MJF and another kick out.
Absolutely beautiful brainbuster that MJF does, like.
Yeah. Ospreay accidentally knocks MJF into the ref. The ref is down and out. We get MJF with a big low blow, one of those proper blatant ones. Ref's down. He attempted a Tiger Driver, but it's blocked. MJF has got brass knucks.
Yeah, he did have brass knucks, didn't he?
Yeah.
Aye.
So I think the announcers kind of thought it wasn't at first, just the way they were speaking. I'm looking at it as brass knucks.
He normally he has a diamond ring, and he normally uses that. He keeps it in his trunks and stuff.
He is blocked by what I have written is a hooded gentleman, and there is much excitement when it's revealed to be Daniel Garcia.
The Rock's ex-wife.
Which I think they quickly tell the story of this as somebody from MJF's past. MJF is not going to be happy to see Daniel Garcia. Ospreay takes advantage of the distraction, and Tiger Driver by Ospreay. I've written horrible looking move. The ref is back in, counts the pin for the win, and the new champion is Will Ospreay. And Christopher Daniels comes out and gives Ospreay a different belt because MJF changed the belt. Is that
he made it the American belt, yeah.
So what I've kind of got as my summary is I enjoyed the match, but I'm finding that the MJF side a little bit frustrating. because I feel like he's a superstar, but I feel like they're not giving me maybe enough story about who he is here.
Okay. Try to think what MJF is. The stuff with Daniel Garcia is very similar to the stuff with the guys that interrupted or came in at the end of the tag match. It's kind of like, I suppose you want to progress your storylines, and fair enough, but you can do too much of that, I think, and it's, like a match like, I think in a Wembley and Brett versus Bulldog, right? You never had Randy Savage coming down to the ring and starting the next phase.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I think it's nice just to have a classic match and let it stand alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I don't think the stuff with Daniel Garcia went very anywhere.
Yeah, if you did just walk away from this, you've got, MJF can complain about, he had the match won when the ref went down or whatever he needs to do from that. They can just both leave the ring having had their match. You've still given Ospreay his moment. Mm-hmm. He's got a big win. But yeah, I don't know if I'm a little bit of a victim of... There was a thing we watched. Did we both watch it? Somebody else in it. It was basically telling a YouTube video I watched telling the story of MJF and CM Punk.
We watched we watched Punk's AEW run.
Yes,
the drop mic thing.
Some of the stuff in that story was fantastic, and obviously he's in there with an elite guy when it comes to storytelling and mic work, and not everybody is able to be that guy. But I just like watching this. I was just left away from it. Right, he's a dick. He's a heel. He will do his heelish things, but why? What's there? What's behind it? Whereas the what's behind it seemed to be there in that storyline.
Aye, of course, and they had you had photos with Punk as a fan, as a young boy and stuff like that. It's probably like perfect storm.
Yeah, it was absolutely, which you're not always going to have, and not every story can be that. But yeah, I just it just left me thinking, well, where would you go with him from here? Because if it's the Daniel Garcia guy, I don't know much about that. But yeah, like we're a year or ish down the line from this, and kind of where is he now and what's he doing?
Oh, can I tell you?
Yeah.
I know that was you weren't asking, but I want to tell you because so the Hurt business. Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin are now the Hurt Syndicate in AEW, and Max MJF must have a previous relationship with MVP. I think they maybe both worked in MLW.
All right.
Okay. So he's like on good terms with MVP, so he starts sort of petitioning to be the fourth member of the Hurt Syndicate. And Lashley's not convinced. They do this thing where all three members have to give it a thumbs up, and week after week Shelton and MVP are giving it a thumbs up, and Bobby's like, doing the thumb thing and then going down. So MJF starts I think Lashley's feedback is kind of like, we hurt people and you need to show us that you're more than just basically crafty heel. Mm-hmm. So MJF starts battering people and eventually gets the thumbs up, and now he's a member of the Hurt Syndicate.
Okay. I would not have guessed that in a million years.
Nah.
Yeah. Now, obviously, he's MJF, so I assume he's going to want to basically take this group, in whatever direction he wants them to go in now.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
I think he was... So, I've not watched this, but I think at their most recent pay-per-view, which was just the other week there, he was being a heel and doing crafty stuff on the outside, Benjamin and Lashley are tag champions. They were facing Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, and when the ref's back was turned, MJF was doing stuff, and I think Lashley was getting annoyed at him for doing stuff behind the ref's back. Things are so microwaved, have him try and be on his best behaviour for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But hey, well.
Okay, it's an interesting route for him to have gone down, but
yeah.
I take it you were a fan of the match.
I enjoyed the match. There's stuff that I don't like. I don't like the clapping and the pointing of where I'm going. Ospreay turns his back on MJF a lot to point about what he's going to do, and I get it. It's all part of wrestling, but especially MJF, I think. I would like to see that sort of cut out a little bit. I love watching Ospreay. I think he's like a bit of a sort of phenom with the way that he moves. Some of the stuff he does is just so fast it doesn't even look real. So I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I'd love to see. I think Ospreay will end up being their champion for
their main,
a long time, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But I think MJF deserves a chance to be that heel champion. He was champion for a while, for quite a long time, but they turned him babyface. And
did it just run out of steam when they did that?
Aye.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. You have to pick the right moment to turn someone, and it's easy to get wrong, I suppose.
It was kind of funny turn. He had like this sort of bromance with Adam Cole, and
I remember hearing about this. Yeah,
it was just all a bit meh.
You weren't, I think was that a sort of thing where you weren't quite sure who was manipulating the other one.
Aye.
Yeah.
Cole ended up being the bad guy.
Yeah.
Then he broke his ankle, I think, and he was out for ages, and it sort of derailed it all.
Yeah. It's a shame for Adam Cole. That does seem to be the way it goes for him.
Okay, talking Adam Cole, well, we go to our next match. It's his dentist that's up next. I've no idea what belt this was for. TBS title, perhaps?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
5 stars. MJF and Ospreay got.
Okay. It doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
What a beautifully diplomatic way of saying I don't agree, but
I didn't hate it. I think of some of the matches that didn't get 5 stars over the years.
I know. Yeah, it's impossible to think that way. Right, so Mercedes Moné, TBS champion, CEO, versus Britt Baker. This is up there with the Jericho match in as far as should this have been on the pay-per-view. I get the star power because Britt Baker was pretty big there for a while for them.
Yeah, we watched a AEW show. We reviewed an AEW show, and I think it was the only one I'd watched before this one. And she just screamed star, like Britt Baker when she came out of that. It sounded like had she been out injured for a period of time.
She had like a stroke or something.
Right.
I think they mentioned it. What is the thing before a stroke? Like a TIA or something like that?
Yeah.
Aye. But I think from what I've seen and stuff, she's had her fair share of backstage stuff. Yeah,
I definitely heard about one. Something about, I think it was relating to MJF, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I've never been a Sasha Banks man, personally. I can't think of having watched too many matches, but ones I have watched, I just felt she looked so lightweight that you could just pick her up and throw her in the front row. That's terrible.
Do you know how they had what was described as the 4 horsewomen? So you had Charlotte, you had Bayley, and you had Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. Mm-hmm. I was never a big fan of Charlotte, but I see it. I get it. I fully understand it. And I think Sasha Banks was just the one I kind of got least out of all of them. I could see what they were going for in terms of the character. It just didn't grab me. It just didn't connect.
I think, well, it obviously does connect because she's got like pretty crazy fans. I think people either absolutely love her or they're just not really that big a fan.
Yeah.
To be fair to these two, they're in an impossible position. You wouldn't want to follow that, and I think you need to follow that with a squash or something.
Yeah. It's tough going. That
you need to. What was the? I always use it as the same example. WrestleMania 10 with the earthquake match.
Yeah.
Well, who was that against? He just completely squashes
Adam Bomb?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need that. Yeah. You can't go and wrestle for 50 minutes after MJF and Ospreay have just wrestled for half an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but there's a few things I had issues with. So Mercedes Moné's got Camille as her heater. They're going for a Michaels and Diesel type presentation. Camille doesn't really get involved in the match until maybe a couple of minutes before the finish, and at that point the referee throws her out, and it's kind of like, what's the point in that?
Usually you've got like ongoing interference, and then it builds to something, and then the person takes a liberty and get caught, like they go too far with it and get caught and chucked out. But no, it's just like, the one time I got involved, I got caught and thrown out.
She was, that Camille, I think she maybe came from NWA. She was in that Queen of the Ring movie. She was really quite main in it, and she was really good in it.
Right.
But for some, I think she's been taken off AEW television for whatever reason. Who knows?
Oh, well.
The other thing I thought Britt Baker sort of looked really off, timing wise.
Yeah, I did wonder if she's not long back, is that a factor? Or is it just sometimes the chemistry isn't there? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it just doesn't click between two performers.
There was a horrible part of this match where I thought they're not cooperating on purpose.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm sure they weren't, but it just...
Yeah,
it just...
across that way. I think the thing I found most entertaining was there's this move that Britt Baker goes for, which is basically like, it seems like a mandible claw. And she has a glove on and does this. And, obviously she's got the whole dentist gimmick. But then Mercedes Moné tries the move. And Tony Schiavone seems furious and says, she's not a dentist.
Yes. I think he's got a bit of a soft spot for Britt, to be fair. It's funny when I can remember we were watching it, my son goes, why would you not just bite their fingers? And I think that is what Mercedes does, but if you're pinching the nerve and it stops, I assume that's why we've got to a point of her doing that finisher for quite a long time without somebody having better fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going any further. This was just not very good at all. I don't get it with Mercedes Moné, but obviously people do. And I would much rather go and visit Britt and get root canal treatment than I would have watched this again. Yeah.
Wasn't my favourite. I quite liked that there was a little sort of Eddie Guerrero tribute moment, which is the moment where the woman gets thrown out at ringside, which is where Britt Baker has the title, throws it to the other woman and then lays down on the mat, and the ref throws out the woman for it. Just gave me some Eddie Guerrero memories.
Just reminded you Eddie Guerrero, so it was fair. So this Mercedes got this absolutely horrible finisher that is like the mini-me version of that Stormbreaker that Ospreay was doing. It looks horrendous. Anyway, Mercedes wins. And
it's quite a lukewarm reaction at the end. And in that case, like what you were talking about earlier, I felt for them a bit, because they're in a no-real win situation here, being in this match.
This was I'm sure after Ospreay MJF, you would have got, I'm going to get food, I'm going to the toilet, within Wembley. So tough one, tough crowd. 2.5 stars.
Generous.
Bloody right. Take the 2 off, maybe.
I think somebody's got a soft spot for one of the performers there.
Considering they gave that Hogan Warrior Halloween Havoc match, they give him -1 star.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Outrageous to give that 2.5 stars.
Oh.
Our next match, is every match a title match? Just a bit. Must be, yeah. Is for another title. Can't remember which one it is. Is this their TV title? TNT?
It's the TNT title.
Which is being held by your boy, the scapegoat, Jack Perry. And he is taking on Darby Allin in a coffin match. I'll leave this one to you.
I've got so many questions. Right, so, Little Bitch Jack Perry's been very much playing on what happened with Punk.
Does he have a jacket on saying Crimea River on the back of it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then
I like stuff like that.
I remembered, though, about the stuff. Remember they released backstage video footage or something like that of Punk when they were, I think, justifying having fired him. And this is where I have problems with this. Right, so Jack Perry, we see him in the build for this assaulting Tony Khan. that Tony Khan sacked CM Punk because he felt intimidated and felt like it was an unsafe working environment. Come on.
So how'd you get around that? You don't
show the video footage. You don't make a thing of it.
Oh, you definitely don't show the video footage. And apparently, it was the Young Bucks that did that, and apparently Young Bucks were totally against it, and it was a Tony Khan thing.
Okay. Yeah, just don't do it, you know.
Sorry, just to dig into this, do you not go on your television show and say that you had to fire Phil Brooks for cause?
I think you can do that. I suppose the thing is, a lot of people, CM Punk has a lot of fans, and a lot of fans that were desperate to see him back and incredibly excited when he signed to join AEW and come back to wrestling. It was all over the media. You know, the stories were all there. I think you can reference that you fired him. I don't really have an issue with Jack Perry making his story out of it. I don't have any issue with that. I just think as soon as you show the footage and stuff like that, where it looked like nothing happened.
No.
And then you're showing footage of somebody assaulting Tony Khan in a storyline. It just in my head goes, hey, wait,
that's fair criticism.
Seems far more egregious than that did.
They did their pile driver thing on him. That maybe it would have been better if they'd had Jack Perry go out and cut a promo and say something like, "Look," because they were in Chicago, like straight after that happened with Punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and maybe let him get like mega heat and say he's not coming back. Your guy's not coming back or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
he had his
Even
chance.
If it was like I played him, I manipulated the whole thing. I got rid of him. You know that, yeah. So we're going to have for Jack Perry against Darby Allin for the TNT title. It's going to be a coffin match, and my first notes, and now I obviously had no idea what anything that was going to happen first time viewing of this, but I was like, my first note was, where is Sting? He's Darby Allin's pal. Imagine the pop he would get coming out at Wembley. We've got Darby Allin coming out with thumbtacks on his face.
Yeah,
just for fun. We get Jack Perry coming out with a goat's head hat on and a body bag.
I love the presentation of the goat head. I think it looks cool. I don't know what it is about
it. So traditional rules, you have to get the guy in the coffin, close the lid. That's how you win. We get Darby Allin starting with a leap, which the camera kind of misses, and then he's taking some chair shots to Perry. Allin with a suicide dive, having stood the coffin up behind Jack Perry. This just seemed foolish to me. Perry moves. Darby Allin just smacks right into the coffin.
Yeah.
Looked sore to me. There's no way you can be flying, hit something which makes you just completely stop in your tracks and land and be fine. Yeah. I some of the stuff I see with Darby Allin just kind of freaks me out. It's like, just calm it down a wee bit.
He's off his rocker, isn't he?
Have a bit of a longer career. Just
Have you ever seen the footage of him being put in a body bag and power bombed out the ring by Brian Cage?
No.
It's not so much power bombed, it's like border tossed. So like the way that he lands, you've no idea how he lands.
So there's no control over. Oh God. He's just on Mount Everest, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
Darby Allin. It's an impressive feat, that.
My son is desperate for him to be back. He keeps asking me, is he back yet? Is he back yet? Because he wants to see him when we go see Dynamite. He really likes him.
Nice. We've got Perry with a bag, a bit of speculation about what's going to be in the bag. He empties out onto the mat. It's shards of broken glass.
Real glass. Crimea River.
Darby Allin reverses a powerbomb attempt and backdrops Perry onto the glass. Now, I've got... What happened? Was it a kick onto him off the top turnbuckle? There seemed to be a hard landing for Darby Allin, but I didn't really understand what.
I know it was. He hadn't tied his. He hadn't tied
him. At this
him.
point, he does this
right.
just after.
Right.
So, I quite like stuff like this in matches like this. So, Perry he's got some tape and he ties. I think it's both the hands and around the ankles, isn't it?
He uses like tape on his hands and then uses his belt around his feet.
So he's basically completely restrained. Darby Allin. And then I've gone off on a bit of something's happened to me here.
Yes.
Because this isn't going to be whatever you think it's going to be, because I don't know why this happened to me. So I'll just read as my notes are. You know, footballers that are always referred to by their full name, and I feel the need to say Darby Allin all the time, and I was thinking of like Dele Alli or Demba Ba. You know, nobody ever just says Ba. Yeah, and there was Solly March was the other one. So yeah, I don't know what happened to me in that moment. I just started thinking, I would always be inclined to say Darby Allin, the full name. So yeah,
and you said Allin earlier, and I thought, who's that he's talking about?
I did, and yeah, I've clearly been thinking about this when I've been writing these, and as I've said Allin, every single time I've got it written, it's got his full name.
There's another list. Wrestlers whose full name you need to say.
Yeah.
Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
AJ Styles.
Bo Dallas. No, I would say AJ.
Would you?
You would think I was talking about AJ Lee.
Yeah. And if you just say Styles, we might think Joey Styles is back.
Oh yes, cut and shoot promos.
We get Darby Allin thrown off the stage onto some stuff below, which just seemed really nasty to me because his hands are bound together at this point. When guys get thrown off the stage, we all know the setup here. There's usually a table below. There's something below for them to land on. They're able to cushion themselves. But he can't get his hands out.
No, he could have landed on his head.
Yeah.
Like, I've got my notes, like, at what point is this just sadomasochism?
Yeah.
Because he's just getting abused.
Like, you could have thrown him off the stage before you typed him together, and then just do that before you put him in the body bag so he can't get out there. But yeah, it seemed dangerous to me. Darby Allin gets zipped up into the body bag. Jack Perry puts him in the coffin. Allin sits up, kind of Undertaker style, and his head just pops out of the body bag, which I like. I popped for it. And then there's a running knee by Jack Perry, and then the coffin's definitely going to close this time. So Jack Perry's going to win. I didn't mind this, actually. I think I find the idea of Jack Perry more annoying than I find him when I'm actually watching his match.
He's a good wrestler, like.
He is, yeah. And other than, some of the bumps that Darby Allin was taking, which I just thought, no, don't do that. He's willing to take risks. But I enjoyed it. And then Jack Perry wins to retain. The Young Bucks are walking down with petrol. They are going to burn the coffin. I mean, they are EVPs. They really need to sit down and have a chat with their HR department. There's surely somebody going to be questioning them about this. Like, you can't actually burn the other performers to death. That's, it's frowned upon. It's probably a written warning for that. But the lights go down, and just having me having thought this earlier, we're going to get Sting coming out to make the save. It lets Tony Schiavone do his "It's Sting" thing. The Sting sells a chair shot. The EVPs get Scorpion Death dropped. And Jack Perry does a runner.
I quite liked that he did that.
Yeah, so did I. Sting helps Darby Allin out of the coffin and frees him from the body bag and the tape.
Jiggly's like, where the fuck have you been? Did you not see me get my arms and feet taped together?
It's just he's just chilling out at catering and it's like, hey,
I love that he came out to seek and destroy.
Yeah, that was pretty
Is
cool.
that associated with Sting?
Not that I knew of.
No, it's really cool.
But I suppose
It
the
fits
problem that I had, especially in the days of the WWE Network, is if he did have a cool song like that, they would have changed it for someone else on the network.
Aye. Remember the sort of generic dance songs that they used to dub in over at ECW on DVDs? It's like they picked, obviously Heyman picks like the cheapest available thing you can get probably, but that was never good.
Yeah. So that's that. I didn't mind this.
I'm delighted to hear that.
I winced a few times at some of the bumps, but you're going to get that.
Aye. A couple of things that I liked and disliked about this. I liked the thumbtacks thing because a few times Jack Perry went to slap him and he hurt his hand. And it's like, there's more point to this than just looking like a complete Mad Max character. Yep. And I like the visual of these two being pretty similar stature in them wrestling. I don't like Perry completely dominating him and being able to overpower him to a point where he can tie up his hands and feet and just launch him off a stage. Like, that makes sense for like a Brian Cage or something like that. But I think that's probably picking a wee bit. That's probably looking for it. So 2 3/4 stars.
Okay.
It's probably about the most dead-on one that they've given.
Yeah, but I'm fine with that, yeah. I've definitely seen worse coffin matches, and I've seen worse, far worse, like, sort of brutality type matches. Because at least I felt like there was enough in there to stick with the story. Like, Darby Allin wouldn't quit. He's taped up, he's in the body bag, he's sticking his head through. And, Jack Perry having that sort of sneaky intelligence to tape him up when he felt like the opportunity was there. And I really did like him running away when Sting did his thing at the end.
He was like smirking at people in the crowd and that.
Yeah.
Aye. I don't know what he's up to these days. I don't know if I don't think I've seen him on AEW TV for a bit. He's maybe injured or something. Okay. So our final match is our main event. It's the AEW World Title match. We've got the champion, Swerve Strickland, who we've been watching recently as Killshot.
Yeah.
Defending his title in what is being presented as Bryan Danielson's final match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he has to win, otherwise it's his career's over.
Right. Okay, is that what
it's title versus career, basically. So I think he's got himself in a situation where he said he will retire when he next loses.
Right, okay. Yeah. We got a really cool video package for Bryan. Did I call him Daniel Bryan? No, Bryan Danielson, or as JR calls him, what does he call him? Daniel Bryanson.
Yeah,
bless
Daniel
him.
Bryanson. Yeah.
So they wheel at JR for this match, don't they? For commentary, but we get a really cool package, and we get like sort of Ring of Honor footage and all that sort of stuff like mixed in with his family. We're going for very much of a family orientated Bryan Danielson here, and he's doing it for them, but they want him to quit, and. Yeah.
I think they kind of got me with that, because I messaged you about this. I knew that Danielson had a retirement match, and I didn't know who it was against, and I didn't know when and where it had happened. So as soon as I heard the stakes for this, I was like, this could happen here. Mm-hmm. This could be it. And they did the package, and I thought, oh, is this going to be it? And then the only thing that was lingering in the back of my mind was, it's in London. And I thought, would he retire in London? But it's a massive show for them, so maybe, yeah. Nice.
Final countdown for him coming out is absolutely amazing.
Oh, it's perfect. Oh, what a banger.
I've got this in my notes. More of this, please. Just good wrestlers coming out to great songs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the overproduced entrances for every single wrestler like you get in WWE these days. We then get DJ Who Kid, and I mean, it sort of took the prestige out there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
At least we had Bun B there rapping, and Prince Nana's dancing along next to Swerve. It's a bit of a. There's no, for him being the champion of AEW, there's not very much fanfare like compared to Will Ospreay's entrance or something like that. It's not a huge entrance, but I do think Swerve has got something about him. He just, I think it's his face, maybe the face he gives off. He's just got something that makes you think, oh, he's like a top level guy.
Yeah. I was good. Like, obviously, we've seen him as Killshot, but I'd never seen a match of him being Swerve Strickland. And when he's Killshot, he's wearing a mask, so it's different. It just seems really different.
And he's physically a lot more built.
Yeah,
you know, he's almost lanky in Lucha Underground.
Yes,
very questioning the head knocks that Danielson's had. If his kids are genuinely called Buddy and Birdie. Bree, Brian, Buddy, and Bird. Imagine getting that on a Christmas card.
Is this real? Have you fact checked this?
Well, that's what they were calling them on commentary. Buddy. Like Buddy's a great name, but Buddy and Birdie and Bree and Brian. That's
too many B's.
Anyway, what I don't know if we want to go through this. There was a lot to this match. It was probably there was more storyline to this than there was to MJF Ospreay, of course.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
There was something really bothered me about Danielson clearly blading, hitting his head on the back of his head and coming up with his forehead gushing with blood.
Yeah.
That's quite unlike him, I would have said.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The thing I did like, seeing storyline, they're basically, it's Swerve has been playing at the, you know, you say you love wrestling, but really what's more important to you? You know, your family want you to stop. You know, you need to stop. Do you really want to be here doing this? And, you know, almost like I am prepared now to retire you for your own good type thing, which I liked. It's basic, but, you know, it's all kind of there.
Yeah. I liked that he takes him over towards his family and he does this the stomping thing that Danielson does. Yeah. Excalibur says this is why Swerve is the most dangerous man in AEW, and JR is like, because it's unpredictable. It's kind of like he has no idea why Excalibur said it.
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
Yeah.
Danielson does eventually start rising up, and he does play the sort of underdog, and that's a bit of a cliche, but he does play that person rising from underneath really well. And when he gets going, he's brilliant. He's hitting these what they call them, like tiger suplexes. Yeah. And he even hits one for the top rope. That looks.
He does. I thought that was going to be it. I thought that'll be.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you think about commentators telling you how dangerous the moves are that they're doing?
The issue I have with it is that suggesting that every other move that you've seen is in no way dangerous. But also, I suppose it maybe depends on your audience. So I don't like seeing dangerous moves. You know, some moves I see, I think that guy should not be taking that move. You know, depending on maybe at times who the guy is, and then reminding me or telling me straight after, or at times even beforehand, how dangerous this move would be for this guy to take. I'm like,
aye, that's
I'm not sure about it.
I think if it's framed, and JR would have done this in his heyday, I think would have said this is the length that these guys are willing to go to for this belt. Yeah. But it wasn't like that. It was like, these guys are highly trained professionals, and these moves that they're doing for you are incredibly dangerous. They were saying it like they're doing it for us.
It kind of, that when it's said like that, it kind of sounds like it's the warning at the start of the VHS tape. You know, it's an extension of the "do not try this at home." Whereas you're supposed to, you say that at the start and then you leave it there. But yeah, I think depending on who, like when I hear somebody like Danielson, is taking a risky move or is just taking something, given his history of injuries, that is particularly dangerous to him. I'm a bit like, don't actually remind me of this, because I'm trying to stay in the moment.
Yeah. Even like, remember, this man had to retire due to issues he's had with his neck or his head or something. Swerve drops. It was the old Shane Helms finisher. What is it? Vertebraker.
Yes.
That he does on him. Look, that's always a brutal one.
Shout out to Shane Helms.
Yeah. He's the Hurricane, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I was thinking of Sugar Shane Helms when he was like a little cool dude in WCW.
Okay.
Him and Shannon Moore. That's a double Shannon Moore mention.
Nice.
On this episode. Swerve hits a house call 3 times over, and I don't care if he's slapping his leg or whatever, they sound and look really brutal.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Somehow Danielson kicks out. He begins, sort of, not hulking up, but he begins like getting back into it, and I found this really weird, and it'd be interesting to hear what you thought of it, because you said that you were sort of buying into the emotion, but Swerve's kicking him, and Danielson's pouring with blood, staring at his children, shouting, "I love you so much!" Yeah. And I was like, well, this is a bit much.
Yeah, I think that was probably the tipping point. That's, a bit too much. And, because he's either at that moment just done, or has just been in the process of doing, like, his version of hulking up, which we've seen in the past. He starts shaking the fists and he's trying to get himself going and getting the adrenaline pumping a wee bit. But yeah, I mean, I was actually, when he did that, I was thinking about it from the point of view of these kids, and I don't know how, was there only one of them in attendance? I'm trying. Were they both there?
I think they were both there.
So they'll both be very young, and I do not know how much of what they're seeing and hearing would actually potentially scar them, because he's covered in blood.
Poor buddy's going to have to shell out for some therapy. No wonder he was just chasing the confetti about at the end of the match. Just trying to knock it all back. This was at the point where, after Danielson sort of hulked up and all that, and he hits that running knee, and Swerve just walks forward, smiles and brushes off the shoulder. I thought, that's a poor decision.
Like, if they wanted to have him kick out at 2 for a near fall, I would have been okay with that. But yeah, no selling it at all. That was giving me, was it Warrior v Triple H WrestleMania vibes?
Aye, it was an odd decision. Yeah. Swerve hits his finisher, which is called Big Pressure, which I cannot for the life of me remember what it was.
Just looking to see if I actually, not knowing its name, if I tried to describe it, but no, I've written Big Pressure, so they must have said it in the commentary.
It's at this point that the craziest looking hangman appears at ringside. He looks completely unhinged, which I quite like. He's there because you mentioned earlier he's got this issue with Swerve, but would that mean, no, I was going to say, would it make sense that he would want Swerve to lose the title, but he didn't win the gauntlet.
If he'd won the match, the gauntlet, you would think his ultimate goal would be to beat Swerve for the title, but he didn't win it. So yeah, just wants it off him now. Like about 1 million referees and officials and all that try to grab this crazy hangman, but it's enough to distract Swerve, who gets hit with a big kick by Danielson. I think it only gets a 2. It does.
He then hits one right to the back of the head of Swerve, right to the back of Swerve's head, which looks brutal, and he puts on the label lock. Swerve almost looks like he's getting out of it. He changes it sort of midstream and pulls the arm back, and Swerve ends up tapping. And Wembley comes unglued for this. They were with this.
Yep.
Danielson is the winner. He's won the AEW Championship and prolongs his career. It'd be class if Brie came in and like dressed him down and stormed off. You told me you were going to lose.
To get who's it? It's Wheeler, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac, the bastard Pac.
come out for the celebration. I'm looking at Brie and I'm thinking, she looks like she's wanting to celebrate, but that kind of goes against what was said earlier, which is she wanted him to retire. But yeah.
The thing that I wondered here was that Claudio goes and gets Buddy. Wheeler Yuta brings in Birdie, and then Pac, does he get Brie?
Yeah, he must.
Is that why he just turned up in his pants? And they get the confetti, the whole thing. I think that's earned. I think that it was a good, emotional, well wrestled. Apart from the little bits and pieces, well thought out match.
I think my only real issue with it was the no sell.
Aye.
But I was impressed by Swerve Strickland. Like, obviously we've seen him, but I don't think we'd seen this version of him. It's it's like it's a different performer, to be honest.
What are you talking, like 9-8 years later or something like that, probably?
Yeah. But when you watch a show, if you're not overly familiar with all the performers, sometimes a guy leaps out at you and you're like, I wouldn't mind seeing something more by them. I had that feeling with Swerve Strickland.
Nice.
Like I would have happily gone and watched another match.
Nice. Okay. We're signed off by Excalibur referring to Wembley as the Cathedral of Professional Wrestling, which I was wondering about because there's not been an awful lot of wrestling at Wembley.
Nah. I mean, it's, you think, what was it, SummerSlam 92, and the year before?
All in 2023, yeah. I mean, the guy's just sat for 6 hours with a mask on his face and talked the whole time, so he's maybe just a little bit delirious.
Yeah, fair enough.
To be fair, this got 5.25 stars.
Oh, okay. So he's gone over the 5.
Aye. Oh, aye. Okay. He did. You do know that. He's given like 7 stars and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the point of having a scale if you don't break it multiple times?
I mean, I quite enjoyed that match. I think there were some on the card that were more of a pleasant surprise. So I kind of expect to enjoy Bryan Danielson match. Whereas there were some, like, I definitely enjoyed Perry and Darby Allin more than I expected.
That's stunned me, really has.
And that what was it called? The casino.
Yeah, the Gauntlet Battle Royal thing.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that more than I expected. Just because when you hear it's going to be that kind of match, I was like, this could go wrong. But that was a pleasant surprise.
Nice. And you liked the women's title match, and I think that was a really good match as well. Overall, a decent show. Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it. There were some bits that I wasn't so keen on, but
hi guys.
That might have that, along with Banks and Baker, probably my least favourite things that were going on here.
Okay.
I wasn't a huge fan of
the Bucks match, the tag team match. No,
it was okay. I didn't hate it. I obviously got wrapped up in it because I was caring about who won and who lost. I thought that the ladder match right at the start was probably a bit of a pleasant surprise as well, because they can just be an absolute shit show.
Yeah,
multi-person gimmick match. So yeah, I think it was a good solid pick.
Quite a good match to start with, I think that.
Yeah.
And just get the crowd up and get to see a bit of craziness to start off with.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah.
So you're hitting, time for you to hit me.
Okay. So I thought long and hard about this.
That sounds sarcastic.
I didn't really want to go for a WWE show. And I started thinking, well, what are my options out here? And we obviously watched a chunk of TNA back in the day. And I started thinking to myself, what else is out there for TNA that I would want to have a look at? So the show that I have stumbled upon is Unbreakable
from 2005.
Okay.
So it's not all going to be, banger after banger, as they say. There's going to be some not great in here. It's inevitable.
Okay.
We remember the TNA shows we used to do.
Oh yes, absolutely. Mixed bag.
It's going to be a mixed bag, but there's certainly something in here that really intrigues me, and there's some other bits and pieces that I'm enthusiastic enough for as well.
You're going to talk me through it?
I can. So we are going to have a 6-man tag match. We're going to have 3 live crew.
Conan, BG James, and WWE's biggest star, Ron the Truth Killings.
Right. Against the Diamonds in the Rough. If you get the names here, I'll be pretty astonished.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, it's Elix Skipper, Simon Diamond, who I feel like I know the name, but I don't know who he is.
We definitely... No. I was about to get excited. No. Was Austin Aries Simon Diamond? No.
No, it's a different guy.
Okay.
I'm just looking at his ring names, and there's not much length. There's Lance Diamond and Pat Kenny.
Pat Kenny. Isn't the Sheffield United goalie or something?
And there is a gentleman, the name means nothing to me, David Young.
Oh, Dave. Aye. Big Davey.
We're going to have a singles match, Austin Aries against Roderick Strong.
Well, I wondered how you were able to answer that question so quickly, but that makes sense now. Okay.
We will have a tag match, Kip James and Monty Brown. Do you remember Monty Brown?
Pounds?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Kip James, Billy Gunn.
Kip James, Billy Gunn, yeah. Against Apollo.
No.
And Lance White.
Lance? Oh, that's, yes, Lance White.
Lance Archer.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, we liked him in TNA.
Yep.
He was good.
We've got Chris Sabin against Petey Williams.
Oh, yes.
We have a no disqualification match. Abyss and Sabu.
Right. We need to get that little bit of our TNA, of course.
We have a singles match, Bobby Roode against Jeff Hardy.
Oh, yes.
I'm enthusiastic for that one. We have a 4-way elimination match for the tag team titles. The Naturals, who we definitely saw at a point when we were.
Oh, aye, I remember. Yeah.
Alex Shelley and who is Johnny Candido?
Chris Candido,
brother of.
Oh, right.
Brother of Chris. Didn't know he had a brother that wrestled against Chris Harris and James Storm.
Oh, the boys. Are they called America's Most Wanted here? Are they? Yes.
Yeah. And the other opponent is Team Canada, which is Eric Young. And who is this? A1. Somebody called A1. His other ring names don't mean much to me. Alistair Ralphs.
Oh, dear.
And Buddy Austin.
Nah.
We're going to have a Ravens rules match for the world title.
Beautiful.
Raven against Rhino.
Oh, yes. Sign me up.
And 3-way match for the X Division title. AJ Styles against Christopher Daniels against Samoa Joe.
Have you seen that match before?
So, that I don't know that I have. That was the big selling point for me. I saw this and I thought, yes.
What a treat. I've definitely seen that match, but I am not grumbling at having to watch that again. Tremendous.
So some of it isn't going to be the best, but some of it could be excellent.
Ravens rules. Yes. Amazing.
I like a bit of Rhino. I was always a Rhino fan.
Rhino was facing Nick Wayne on Dynamite just like 2 weeks ago or something.
Rhino's still going.
It still looks the same.
Oh, what a guy!
It was. I think it was from Detroit, wasn't it? I think it must have been in Detroit.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, because did we see him have was it some sort of street fight with Christian in TNA?
Yeah, it was like an 8 mile street fight?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So we're going to go with that, and Yeah, it's some of it is going to be good. It's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee, right? Okay,
Yeah.
guaranteed it.
Yeah,
Some of it's got to be bad.
maybe.
Okay. Excellent. I'm well up for that. That sounds great. Very current with the R-Truth stuff in there as well.
Yeah, I like. Now have they said whether that was storyline or whether that was just a reaction to the reaction?
I think it was the latter.
Right.
And I think Triple H tried to play it off like the former, from what I've read, and got some backlash for it.
Slowly but surely turned into Vince.
Yeah. Maybe not so slowly. They're both attracted to the same woman.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, it's probably true. Yeah.
Right, I think we've went long enough.
Yeah.
We'll go and get into some TNA in 2 weeks' time and then see where we go for there.
Cool.
Nice one. Right, take it easy, Adam.
Cheers.
Cheers.